Tazin Ahmed was a quiet soul. In the bustling world of the University of Chittagong, he often felt like a whisper. A first-year student in the English department, books were his truest companions. He found solace in stories, in the carefully crafted sentences of authors long gone. People, however, were a different narrative, one he found harder to read. He navigated the campus with his head slightly bowed, his gaze often fixed on the worn pages of a novel, or on the path just ahead, trying not to stumble, trying not to be noticed too much. He was a comma in a long, complex sentence of university life. He carried his shyness like a well-loved heavy coat. It was familiar, sometimes comforting, but often too warm, too restrictive. He longed to connect, to share the worlds he found in literature, but the words always caught in his throat, a jumble of unspoken thoughts, so he observed. From the quiet corners of classrooms, from the periphery of laughing groups, he saw the vibrant colors of student life, but he felt he existed in monochrome, waiting, perhaps for a story of his own to begin, or maybe just for the courage to turn the page. Rayhana Chowdhury was the opposite. She was a bright splash of color, a melody in the everyday hum of university life. A history department student, she moved with an easy grace. Her laughter was infectious. It echoed in the corridors. It danced in the crowded cafeteria. She collected friends like she collected interesting historical facts, effortlessly, with genuine curiosity and an open heart. She wasn't just present, she was vibrant, a beacon of cheerful energy, drawing people towards her warmth like moths to a friendly flame. She believed in connections. Rayhana saw the world as a series of stories waiting to be shared, and she was eager to listen, eager to contribute her own verses. She wasn't afraid of new encounters or of speaking her mind. Her confidence wasn't loud or boastful. It was a quiet certainty, a gentle strength. She noticed the unnoticed, the shy smiles, the hesitant glances. She understood that not everyone sang their song out loud. Some hummed it softly, and she had a knack for hearing those quieter tunes. Even amidst the noise, she was a question mark, always seeking, always engaging. The university library was Tazin's sanctuary, a hushed cathedral of knowledge. Rows upon rows of shelves stood like silent sentinels, guarding tales and theories. He loved the smell of old paper and binding glue. It was a perfume of possibility. One afternoon in early 2019, he sought a particular book, a collection of modern Bengali poetry. He'd heard it was rare, difficult to find. His heart beat a little faster, the thrill of the literary chase. He scanned the poetry section, his eyes meticulously moving along the spines, almost there. He spotted it, tucked away on a middle shelf. Nodi on Tore. Kneel, the title whispered to him. He reached out, his fingers anticipating the feel of the cover. At that exact moment, another hand appeared, reaching for the very same book, slender fingers adorned with a simple silver ring. His hand paused, his eyes followed the arm up, to a face he vaguely recognized from campus. It was Rayhana from the history department. Her eyes, bright and curious, met his. A small, almost imperceptible jolt passed between them, like static electricity on a dry day. For a moment, neither spoke. The silence of the library amplified the unspoken question. Who had seen it first? Who needed it more? Tazin felt a blush creep up his neck. He usually avoided such direct eye contact, especially with someone as radiant as Rayhana. He started to withdraw his hand, ready to mumble an apology, ready to retreat into his usual quietness. "Oh, sorry," he began, his voice barely audible. He expected her to simply take the book, to move on, as most people did, leaving him in his comfortable solitude. But Rayhana smiled, a genuine, disarming smile. It wasn't a smile of victory or impatience, it was friendly. "Looks like we have similar taste," she said. Her voice was soft but clear. It didn't startle the library's silence, it seemed to blend with it. "You can have it," Tazin offered quickly, eager to end the interaction, eager to escape the warmth of her gaze. "Or," she suggested, her head tilting slightly, "we could share? Maybe there's a reason we both reached for it at this exact second, an unexpected proposal, a shared page." That shared book marked a beginning, an unlikely one. Tazin, the quiet observer, Rayhana, the vibrant participant. They didn't share the poetry book in the end. Rayhana insisted Tazin take it that day. "You look like you need it more today," she'd said, with a wink that made him look away, but she also suggested they meet for tea in the bustling campus cafeteria. To talk about it, to talk about other books, to just talk. Tazeen had been surprised she'd want to, surprised he'd agreed with a hesitant nod. Their friendship grew in small moments, stolen minutes between classes, lingering a little longer in the cafeteria after a shared plate of singara. They'd find each other in the library, not always by accident anymore. Rayhana would wave from across the room. Tazeen would offer a shy smile in return. She talked about her history lectures, about grand empires and forgotten revolutions. He talked about characters in novels, about metaphors and hidden meanings. He found himself speaking more easily with her. The words didn't feel so trapped. She listened, really listened. She drew him out of his shell, gently, patiently, like coaxing a shy animal into the light. She never pushed too hard. She understood his silences. Sometimes they just sat together, reading their respective books, a comfortable quiet between them. It was a new feeling for Tazeen, this easy companionship. He started looking forward to their encounters. His days felt brighter, less monochrome, more like one of Rayhana's colorful stories. He started noticing the world around him more, the way the sun filtered through the trees on campus, the sounds of distant laughter. Rayhana, too, found something special in their friendship. Tazeen's quiet depth was a contrast to her own outgoing nature. He made her pause. He made her think differently. She admired his love for words, his gentle perspective on the world. She saw the kindness in his eyes, the intelligence behind his shy demeanor. Their bond wasn't loud or dramatic. It was like a slow-growing plant, taking root steadily, unfurling new leaves with each shared story, each quiet understanding, a unique connection in the sprawling landscape of university life. They were finding their own small, shared space. As weeks turned into months, Tazeen's feelings began to change. His friendship with Rayhana was precious, a lifeline in the often overwhelming sea of university. But something else was stirring within him, a deeper, more tender emotion. It started as a quiet hum, a warmth that spread through him whenever she smiled at him, or when her arm brushed his as they walked. He replayed their conversations in his mind. Her laughter became his favorite sound, the way her eyes sparkled when she talked about something she loved. These images filled his thoughts. He realized, with a jolt that was both terrifying and exhilarating, that he was falling in love with Rayhana. It wasn't a sudden crash. It was a slow immersion, like sinking into a beautiful, warm ocean. He loved her energy, her kindness, the way she made him feel seen and understood. But this realization brought a new kind of pain, a sharp, aching anxiety. How could someone like Rayhana ever feel the same way about someone like him? She was sunshine. He was a shadow, or so he thought. He was a closed book. She was an open invitation. The fear of rejection was a constant companion. It whispered doubts in his ear. She's just being friendly, it would say. Don't ruin a good friendship. He believed it, wholeheartedly. He imagined confessing his feelings, the awkward silence, the pity in her eyes, the slow, painful end of their easy companionship. The thought was unbearable, so he locked his feelings away, deep inside, in a secret chamber of his heart. He built walls around them, carefully, brick by silent brick, hoping she wouldn't see, hoping they wouldn't escape. He continued to be her friend, her quiet, book-loving friend. But now, every interaction was tinged with this hidden love. Every smile she gave him was both a joy and a torment. He analyzed her words, her gestures, looking for signs, for any hint that she might feel something more. But he always concluded he was just imagining things, projecting his own desires. His shyness, once a simple character trait, now became a heavy shield, protecting his fragile heart, but also keeping him trapped, alone with his unspoken words and his growing secret love. Rayhana was observant. It was part of her nature, part of what made her a good student of history. She noticed details, nuances, the subtle shifts in people's behavior, and she noticed the change in Tazeen. It wasn't anything drastic. Not at first, but there was a new intensity in his gaze sometimes, a fleeting sadness in his eyes when he thought she wasn't looking, a slight tremor in his hand if theirs accidentally touched for too long. She saw the way he looked at her when he thought she was distracted. It was more than friendship. She was almost sure of it. She wasn't an expert in love, but she understood connection, and she felt a strong one with Tazeen. His quietness didn't bother her, it intrigued her. She saw past his shy exterior to the thoughtful, kind person within. She valued their conversations, his unique way of seeing the world. She found herself thinking about him too, more often than she thought about her other friends. His gentle smile, the way he listened so intently, these things made her heart feel warm, a pleasant, hopeful warmth. She liked him a lot. She sensed his unspoken feelings like a faint melody carried on the wind. She wasn't entirely sure why he kept them hidden. Perhaps he was scared. Perhaps he didn't believe she could reciprocate. She understood shyness, though it wasn't her own primary experience. She knew it could be a powerful barrier. She considered making the first move, saying something, but a part of her hesitated. There was a traditional part of her, a part that felt the confession should, perhaps, come from him when he was ready. So she waited, patiently, hopefully. She tried to create openings, opportunities for him to speak. She offered encouraging smiles, held his gaze a little longer than necessary, laughed a little louder at his quiet jokes, hoping to convey her own interest without being too obvious, without scaring him away. She believed in him. She believed he would find the courage, eventually. Their friendship was a beautiful, delicate thing. She didn't want to rush it or force it. She would give him time and hope that their unspoken feelings would one day find a voice. Section 6, the faded photograph, seeds of misunderstanding. The university campus was alive with rumors and stories. Whispers traveled faster than the shuttle train. One afternoon, Tazeen was walking past the history department. He saw Rayhana. She was standing with a group of friends, laughing, her head thrown back, her usual bright self. Next to her stood Afran, a popular senior from her department, known for his confidence and his charm. Afran had his arm casually around Rayhana's shoulder. They looked comfortable together, too comfortable in Tazeen's anxious mind. A wave of cold dread washed over him. He stopped, hidden partly by a large notice board. His heart hammered against his ribs. Afran leaned in, said something that made Rayhana laugh even harder. She playfully swatted his arm. Tazeen felt a pang of jealousy, so sharp, so intense, it took his breath away. This must be it, he thought. This is why she's just friendly with me. She has someone else, someone more like her, someone confident and outgoing, someone who wasn't afraid to put his arm around her. He felt foolish, naive, forever hoping for more, for misreading her kindness. He didn't stay to see more. He couldn't. He turned and walked away, quickly, his mind racing. The image of Rayhana and Afran laughing together burned into his memory like a faded, painful photograph. It confirmed all his deepest fears, all his insecurities. He wasn't good enough for her. He never would be. He was just the shy, bookish friend, the one she was kind to, out of pity, perhaps. The thought stung deeply. He felt a crushing weight of disappointment and a familiar urge to retreat, to hide. From that day on, Tazeen began to withdraw. Subtly at first, he made excuses to avoid their usual meeting spots. He became quieter, more distant. When they did cross paths, he kept his answers short. His gaze averted. He couldn't bring himself to look her in the eye, afraid she would see the hurt, or the love he was so desperately trying to conceal. He told himself it was for the best, to protect himself from further pain, to allow her to be happy with Afran, or whoever she chose. He didn't realize he was building a wall, not just around his heart, but between them. Section 7. Silent corridors, the weight of absence. Rayhana noticed the change immediately. Tazeen's sudden distance was like a missing note in a familiar song. It felt wrong, unsettling. His smiles became rare, faint ghosts of what they used to be. His eyes, which once met hers with shy warmth, now skittered away, as if he couldn't bear to look at her. He was often busy when she suggested meeting. His replies to her messages became shorter, delayed. Sometimes he didn't reply at all. The easy flow of their conversations dried up, leaving an awkward, uncomfortable silence in its place. She was confused and hurt, deeply hurt. Had she done something wrong, said something to offend him? She replayed their recent interactions in her mind, searching for a clue, a reason for his sudden coldness, but she found nothing. Nothing that could explain this abrupt shift. Their friendship had been such a source of joy for her, a quiet anchor in her busy life. Now it felt like it was slipping away, and she didn't know why, or how to stop it. The vibrant campus suddenly felt a little dimmer without their easy camaraderie. She missed him. She missed their talks about books, his thoughtful observations, even his comfortable silences. She missed the way he used to look at her with that gentle, almost reverent expression before he started avoiding her gaze. She tried to approach him a few times, to ask him what was wrong, but he always seemed to find a way to escape, a hurried excuse, a sudden need to be elsewhere. His avoidance was a clear message, even if the reasons behind it were not. It felt like a door slamming shut. The silence between them grew heavier each day. The corridors they used to walk together now felt empty, echoing with unspoken questions and unshared feelings. Rehana's initial confusion slowly turned into a quiet frustration, mixed with a persistent sadness. She still cared about him, deeply, but his withdrawal was pushing her away, making it harder to reach out. She didn't understand. He was the one who seemed to have feelings, and now he was the one creating this painful distance. It made no sense, and it broke her heart a little more each day. Section 8, A Rooftop Reckoning, The Unveiling. Weeks passed, weeks of strained silences and missed connections. Rehana couldn't bear it any longer, the not knowing, the growing chasm between them. She needed answers. She needed to understand. One breezy afternoon, she saw Tazeen heading towards the less frequented arts faculty rooftop, a place they had once discovered together, a quiet escape from the campus crowds. This was her chance. She followed him, her heart pounding with a mixture of nerves and determination. She found him standing near the edge, looking out over the sprawling green campus, lost in thought. "Tazin!" she said. Her voice was firm, but laced with a tremor of emotion. He flinched, startled. He turned around slowly, his eyes wide with surprise and something else. Guilt? Fear? "Rehana," he mumbled, his voice barely a whisper. "What are you doing here?" He looked like he wanted to disappear, to melt into the concrete beneath his feet, but there was nowhere to run this time. She stood, blocking the only exit, her expression serious, her arms crossed, waiting, demanding an explanation he had avoided for too long. "Why have you been avoiding me?" she asked directly. Her voice cut through the afternoon air, clear and insistent. "What did I do wrong, Tazin? Why are you treating me like a stranger?" His face crumpled. He looked down at his shoes, unable to meet her gaze. The silence stretched, heavy and suffocating. He shuffled his feet, opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out, just a choked sound. He looked so vulnerable, so lost. It softened Rehana's resolve a little, but she needed to know. She had to know. Finally, he looked up, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. "It's not you, Rehana," he said, his voice hoarse. "It's me. I saw you with Afran from your department." He paused, took a shaky breath. "You looked so happy. He's right for you. Confident, outgoing, everything I'm not." The words tumbled out, a torrent of insecurity and mistaken assumptions. I realized I didn't have a chance. I didn't want to be a burden or make things awkward, so I thought it was best to stay away. He finally confessed his reason, his painful, misguided reason. Section 9. Only You, A New Chapter Begins. Rehana stared at him, her expression slowly shifting from frustration to disbelief, then to a dawning understanding. Afran, that's what this was all about. Afran was just a friend, a classmate. The arm around her shoulder had been a casual, friendly gesture. Nothing more. "Afran?" she repeated, her voice softer now. "Tazin? Afran is just a friend. Like a brother to me, almost. There's nothing romantic between us, not even close." She saw the confusion in his eyes, the flicker of hope, mixed with lingering doubt. It was almost painful to watch his internal struggle. "You thought, because of Afran, that I wouldn't be interested in you?" she asked gently, stepping a little closer. Tazin nodded mutely, his gaze still fixed on her, searching her face for truth, for reassurance. "Oh, Tazin," she sighed, a wave of emotion washing over her. Sadness for the weeks they had lost, for the pain he had put himself through, and a rush of affection for this shy, sensitive boy who had so severely underestimated himself and her feelings. "You are so wrong, so incredibly wrong." Her voice was thick with emotion. "Tazin," she continued, her voice barely above a whisper now, "all this time I was waiting for you." His eyes widened. You were?" he stammered, disbelief warring with a fragile, emerging hope. "Yes," she said, a small, watery smile playing on her lips. "I sensed your feelings, or I hoped I did. I have feelings for you too, Tazin, strong feelings." And then it was his turn to be overwhelmed, the truth of her words sinking in, washing away weeks of misunderstanding, of self-doubt, of heartache. He felt a lightness he hadn't felt in ages. He reached out hesitantly, His fingers brushed hers. This time she didn't pull away. She laced her fingers with his, a silent confirmation, a promise. Rehana, he breathed, his voice full of wonder, and a love he no longer needed to hide. I love you. The words were out, finally, and they weren't met with pity or awkwardness. They were met with a radiant smile and her own whispered confession. I love you too, Tazin. On that rooftop, as the sun began to set over Chittagong, their story took a new turn. A new chapter, written not in unspoken words, but in shared hearts, only them, together.